Should I solve this now? Fine. Okay, I'll give you another homework. So let me solve these questions. I'll give you harder questions for homework.
So, sir, we are having trouble with connecting to the database. Loading show us how to connect.
In Express or in MySQL? In loading database, there is SQL file, which is dumping all of the files inside of the database, right? So you have to insert the SQL either through command line or you have to put it with T option. Or you have to choose one of those options, right? Okay, so the database has a lot of records. So the first question was compute the number of the amount of the salary we are paying in 2000 in the year 2000. So if you go and open the should I change this? Can you see this or I should change this? Okay, you can see the schema over here. Can you see the red ones? This projector has a problem with red color. Let me make it.
Data username. There is username. No, it's supposed to be the database. No. Database username.
Okay.
Database name.
Can you see this? Okay, so if you go to the schema of the database, you will see that to compute the salaries, there is a table over here. Employee number, salary from date to date. Okay, there are two parameters over here we have to consider, which is from date and to date, and we have to make sure that the amount of the annual salary of the person is falling into this time slot. Okay, now if I want to write this query, the tail part of the where statement will be the part that I'm making sure that I am considering the annual salary between 2001 and between 2001, January 1st, 2001 and Christmas 2000, January 1st, 2000 and Christmas 2000. So this is the time slot that I am considering. So therefore, if I name the table salaries S, the from date of the record and the to date should surround these 2 days. Okay, so if that happens, it means that we are looking for the salaries in 2000. Okay, then I need some information from table employee to see if the employee is male or female. Why? Because the gender of the employee is reflected in this table. You can see the gender is male or female, and it's reflected over here. Now, from the employee table, I will make the join on the employee number to make sure that the rows are matching, and we are creating the natural join between these two tables. Then I'm using aggregate function sum and gender, and I'm grouping by the gender. Okay, then when I execute this query, this is the total amount of money we paid for guys in 2000, and this is the total amount of money we paid to ladies. Okay, for the second question, what was the second question? Okay, so we want to find the departments that have a manager who is a lady, okay? Okay, here you can see the query for this problem. First of all, we need to, was it today or 2015? Current. Okay. So, okay, I'll change it this day. Oh, today is 2016. I'm a year old guy. So, in order to extract this information, we need to know who is the manager of each department at this moment, and also we need to know if the manager is a lady or a guy. Okay. So what we are doing is we need to, in order to know the manager of the department, we need to have this relationship department manager underscore manager. Okay. We call it M. We also, in order to show the name of the departments, we need to table departments, which we name here D. And in order to show the name of the managers, we need the table employee. Also, we need the table employee to distinguish between male and female managers. Okay. So what we are doing here is basically we will check if the manager of the department after September 27th, 2016.
2015.
It should be 2016. Today 2016, right? I had the same mistake. Okay, the tail of this query checks the date. If the manager is still in charge in current day. Okay. How do I know that? Which date should be checked? Because here in the table department employee, for each department, we know that, in the table department manager, for each department, we know what is the time slot that the person is in charge of that department, okay? If that time slot includes current day, it means that currently the person is in charge of that department, okay? If I execute this, so the last part, I check the date. Then I need to also to make sure that the manager is a female. Then from the table employee, I'm selecting attribute gender and I equal this attribute to female. Okay. Now we have three tables. Okay. We have department manager, employee. So these tables should be naturally joined. Okay. And the rest of the conditions are natural join. This is a natural join condition for between two tables, department manager and employee, which is required for distinguishing the gender of the manager. And this is the condition required for making sure that the department number is equal to department number in department manager. Then, if we execute this query, we will get the answer by 4 rows. Okay. Now let's get back to our listen, everyone. I really ask you to work on these homeworks. you have to be able to, at the end of this class, you have to be able to work with databases. MySQL is the simplest database ever. So, okay, please make sure that you practice at home. Next week, on the Thursday, if I bring another quiz and nobody solves the quiz, then it's really, at least for me, it's not very, some sort of inappropriate. Okay, so we were talking about, did you finish triggers? Talk about?
Yes.
Did we talk about multi-granularity of
No.
execution of triggers?
That's a card.
Okay, so we talked about this, I'm sure that. So in the triggers, now after considering the condition, the point is when we want to execute the action, okay? Execution of the action, listen, on Thursday, the format I'm giving here is very clear for triggers. Also, you can have references for MySQL or Oracle about triggers on the web, okay? If I bring a quiz with triggers, please be able to solve the quiz, okay? So, the execution can be either deferred after the consideration of the condition, or the execution can be immediately happen after the consideration of the condition of the effect. If it is executing immediately, then the execution can happen before or after, or instead of triggering an event. So before trigger, if we execute the action before the trigger, it is usually used to naturally maintain the integrity constraints, and usually we are trying to reject any transactions that are not inappropriate way, or that are violating some of the constraints we have. Now, another important factor in the triggers is granularity. Okay, it means that how we want to consider the database tables when we are running an action or when we are checking condition. Okay, what's the difference between these two granularities?
One is with the rows and the other one is the same.
The rows, it takes a long time, because for each row the trigger should be checked or the trigger should be executed. Okay, so in many times if you put the trigger on row, then you have to make sure that you have an appropriate index on the row. Otherwise, the trigger you execute a very simple transaction and your database dies. Nothing will happen. You will get no results. So in the row level granularity, since we are checking each row at the same time, we have to trigger. We have to make actions for multiple events at the same time, because the events are defining on the rows, and each object may affect several rows at the same time. So the management of the events also more complicated. Okay, so now suppose that we have multiple events that can be activated for a single action. Suppose that you update the salaries and you have two triggers based on changing the salaries. What will happen? How can you manage this?
One by one, just first do one condition, after that one condition.
One by one, or so what's the difference between one by one and checking all the conditions together?
Suppose something is failed, it will stop.
Uh, First of all, if you have multiple triggers, what will happen about the conditions? You have multiple conditions to check. It's a kind of, you have multiple conditions, you have multiple actions. Each of the conditions true, then you have to do an action, okay? So if you check what multiple conditions at the same time, you have to execute the actions at the same time also. Otherwise, you have to go one by one, and for each condition, you have to check the condition and then check if you need to execute the action or not.
How is the multiple trigger different than the other one? Like a single trigger? Because in that also we'll just check a statement, and then if it's true or false, we'll...
No, multiple trigger, by multiple trigger means that you have 10 triggers in your database, and on a single transaction, 3 of them get activated. Okay? For example, for the salary, you have 3 transactions.
But they'll execute one by one, right?
It depends on what you're defining. You can execute it all conditions at the same time, check all the conditions and then execute them, or you can check one by one condition
one
first.
trigger may have different actions.
Yes, each trigger can have different actions. Yeah. So if we are executing one by one, what will happen? Farindra, the suggestion.
Eventually some conditions may change.
Yes, one of the, it depends now, the sequence of the triggers are getting importance, and they matters, okay? Because if you run one of the triggers and this trigger abort the transaction, then no need to execute other triggers. But if you run the trigger and the trigger lets the transaction commit, and the second one aborts the transaction, then it should be rolled back, okay? So the triggers started in school 1999. The current DBMS you were working, all of them supporting triggers. Basically, condition was anything you can put in the where clause, and the action can be either dispute a statement or it can be stored procedure. In triggers in standard SQLs are considered immediately, and the execution is also immediately. SQL 1999 supports both row level and segment level granularity. Okay, so tell me what this trigger does.
Enrollment check,
Enrollment check and
then
They are under the limit or not.
you got very close. Krishna. Good. You
check the count after it. If the
suppose that you have a maximum capacity of enrollment, the cap of the enrollment. It checks before inserting any registration of a student. Before insertion. Okay? So for each row, it's row granularity. Okay? So for each row, if the number of students in that course for that registration is greater than maximum capacity of that course, okay, in the same semester, where the course code is registered, then the transaction will be aborted. One question now.
Did we specify maximum enroll anywhere? Maximum enroll is specified?
Yeah, its maximum is specified. Suppose that you run this transaction and you have 3 courses. One is database, which has a still capacity, which is not filled yet. One is operating system, and one is literature. Okay, so 5 students are trying to register for these courses. Okay, so when you run this insert transaction, what will happen?
They get enrolled in the course which is available.
Database
The
is filled.
database course, yeah.
They get enrolled in the database.
Oh, it's
No,
Because
they
it's
already filled
available,
enrolled.
right?
What?
You said it is available.
No, the database is not available anymore, but the rest is available. Oh,
Yes.
sorry, database was available, but the
Yeah.
rest is not available. The rest
So
is
it will
filled.
get enrolled.
The database people will enroll, but the other people,
They will, they won't.
they won't.
Allow.
Why?
Because the maximum capacity.
Because there is a maximum capacity.
The maximum capacity is true, but why just database people can be enrolled?
They pass through this condition.
The passive, no, this is because we have for each row. It's row level. If we had a statement level, the whole transaction will be aborted. Nobody could enroll. Okay? So pay attention to this.
But this goes through, right? I mean, like for each row.
So it is row level granular. That's why database people can enroll. Otherwise, database people also cannot enroll. So this is Krishna's favorite trigger. This is the after this trigger is used for what? For logging, and it is executed after update of salaries. So basically,
I think
no, this is not logging. Sorry.
right, salary hike. To check whether we are higher, salary will be greater than 5% of previous salary.
So the old salary is old.
It's increased with 5% hike. The salary, the new salary should account to 5% increase
No, I mean
in the
like they are
previous one.
increasing the salary 5%. Even if you want to increase 10%, it will increase only 5%. Like that's the condition. Like
No, this is a
salary-
trigger. This is a trigger. Update is on salary. It's happening on salary.
It's taking it.
After update,
It's
I mean.
already increased, then it should limit salary rise. That's what it's taking actually.
It's already increased.
Yeah, when salary is greater than the 5% raise, then this should abort the increase.
The old salary of the person. Okay. The
New
old salary, the
minus
same
old
role.
salary.
If the old salary,
Is greater.
if the
It is
increase is
after
more
the-
than 5%, then what we are doing is we are just limiting the growth to 5%. Cannot add more than 5% salaries. So this is not favorite figure for you. So it is still row granularity. Okay, if it was statement level granularity, what happens?
Nothing, all the salaries will be.
No, it will be aborted.
If at least
All
you
will
find
be
any
Any one of the all
violation,
will be
the
aborted.
whole thing will be aborted and nothing will happen.
But it is not aborting.
It's not about, right?
It is just
Nobody
Oh,
is
sorry.
This is
If,
row one. This is row, right?
no, it's not aborting, right?
It will do the same thing, even if the statement level, it's the row level. Finally, all the
So,
salaries will be set.
If it is not row level, it was a statement level, the whole thing will be
Be
just,
aborted.
no,
No,
limited to 5%.
no process.
But still, it's
Checking
checking the condition, right?
but then even in the row one.
It is
it will-
checking the condition, right?
No, if it is a statement level, it's not, the whole transaction will be limited to this one.
Condition will not go through.
Yeah, we-
Condition will not go through. If the condition will not go through,
If this statement.
no, if the condition goes through and the when condition shows that you are increasing the salary more than 5%, then for everyone you are limiting the salary to 5%. Okay?
Whose salary it is taking?
Hmm?
In the table, whose salary it is taking? Whose salary also?
For each row you consider it.
Okay.
Okay?
I got it.
For each row you consider it. Okay? Even if one case happens and the salary gets through, the when condition gets through, for each row you consider, then this part will be executed for everything. Now this is a statement level So we are creating a table and we are doing. Now Krishna is your favorite. So we are logging basically. After updating salaries for each statement, we insert everything to a table called log with the current date, the average salary, and that should show that what's the trace of the average salaries. Okay, so we worked on. Right now we are done with triggers and we are done with the SQL, the part that we.
Can we use that log to roll back?
Which part?
What is the purpose of the log? I mean, can we use it to roll back to the previous?
This log is not used for the rollback, okay? We will see database recovery. We will have a separate topic for that. This log is just aggregate function. So, what can you do to make this log roll? What can you do to change this log to make it roll back?
Make it a separate table?
No.
Or update a different table, a copy of the table?
Copy the whole report you are getting in the current date. If you copy the whole date, then, but the amount of the update will be a lot because currently you are calculating an aggregate function and that's one single row. But when you are copying the whole table, it will be a lot of transactions. So, okay, what we saw here today and before was interactive SQL statement. You could log into the DBMS system and just write your SQL statements and then commit your queries and then get some results. As you saw what I did, but this type of applications and this type of database usage is not enough for developing systems and applications for corporations and organizations. Then we need to extend the way we are interacting with the database and DBMS. One way is using non-interactive SQL, which means that we are using SQL statements included in an application program in another language. So let's see what this. In this case of application, we will have a host language. For example, this host language can be an imperative language like C or C++ or Java that has imperative instructions, and you can. It has also different computational capabilities, but it is able to get and translate SQL statements to DBMS system. Okay. Again, in these kinds of languages, since we are using databases, we need to use the SQL language to define a standard way to interact with the database from the host language. Okay? So, how many people have worked with JDBC except Java people? How many people?
Connecting the database.
It's connecting the database, but how do you work in JDBC Java?
Driver manual.
When you are executing a command, executing a query, you're executing
First we have
update,
make the connection in the database.
and then you give the query
Inside the
in terms of a single string representing a SQL statement. So you are still complying the rules that you have for SQL statements. So there, before executing these SQL statements, we had this condition that we could have stored procedures. What was the priority? What was the advantage of the stored procedure?
Faster computation performance will be increased.
The
Only to compile more
database was, the DBMS had time to first translate it and also optimize the query and write the execution plan as efficient as possible. Moreover, the DBMS can also add indexes to customize and facilitate accessing the different records and rows in different tables. We had this example of two tables with different sizes, and right? Did we have this example? No, we had this example that I asked which query is faster. I remember that we had. We had this example 3 weeks or 2 weeks ago that we wrote this execution plan, and we saw that one execution plan can be much faster than the other one. Okay.
You have to sort it out first before.
Yeah, the smaller one is accessing the smaller table is usually more efficient. So preparation of execution of plan is a very complicated task and still on the edge of the research. So okay. People who has executed JDBC queries and functions in the JDBC or in the languages, most languages like Java, when you are writing a statement, you call it, you are executing either the whole execution or you are giving the statement in order to be interpreted by database. You understand that? Suppose that you have a connection manager in Java. You execute it. Then you execute a single string query. So what will happen? You compose a string,
Store that in the string.
the whole
Output of the query.
the whole query is embedded in that. Okay. So suppose that you customize a query, you customize a callable, execute. Okay, where the query gets parameter from the functions. Okay, that is not the string. Then you put $sign in the execute comment, right? And in that case, you will have statement level interface. Another statement level interface Have you ever used SQL commands in C++? Nobody?
Java.
So, okay, in the SQL and C++, you could embed the whole SQL command inside of the program. Like, for example, you could have this SQL, and then inside this block you can have this SQL statement, and the result will be back inside of an array or a list, and then you can execute. The whole command was inside of the. It was a interface. It was a.
This will be an array or a string?
It will be an array of structure.
Arrays.
Depends on the file that you are getting back. Okay. So the executing like SQL statement is in a statement level interface is like executing a bash file. You have this SQL statement, and you can call it and directly pass it to the database, and you get the answer. Okay. Okay, I will continue next week on this.